Welcome back, folks, to the 9.9 Supertest patch notes video for the tanks. Now, these will likely be the changes made to the 9.9 public test server and later on onto the 9.9 actual patch. So here are all the juicy bits. Super testers received the following vehicles: the M4A1 Belarusian, which is the Super Sherman for the French, the Object 777, the Untitled Scorpion Waffenträger, and the T28E with the F30 85mm gun. So this is the pre-nerfed T28 at tier 4. It's not the American T28, it's the Russian train cart. So it's a gigantic, box of a bus thing, whatever. So it is the pre-nerf version of that tank with the old 85mm gun. The same gun, top gun, that's on the KV-1. So back then, around 2 years ago, this tank was a little bit overpowered because of that top gun, so they removed it. Now they bring it back with HD model, but less horsepower per ton ratio at 15 instead of was it 26 for the T28? But yeah, they reduced the horsepower per ton ratio a lot, so that's the trade-off. But I did not make a leak video about it, so I was busy, whatever. The VK4502B was replaced by the mouse chin, so yeah, here it comes, boys. The Aufklärungs Panther, which is the Awful Panther, is replaced by the Spa Panzer SPIC. So I covered this already with leak videos. I covered the Rivalries, the Object 777, and the Scorpion with leak videos already, other than the T28E. 14 tanks were reworked to HD. I have pictures of all of them, so picture day today as well. Nice, but it's mostly for the Patton, the T62A. Not that many people have the Type 59, the Doom Turtle number 2, the Conqueror, that's good, the Japanese Tiger 1, the Churchill Mark 7, the Mutant, which is the M6A2E1. This is for the heavy tank pre-order package or something like that, I remember. AMX 5100, which already covered where last patch's HD picture. So the mouse chin as well as the AMX 5100 will not be covered with this patch because I already showed you guys the pictures already, but I'll put it in the description of this video. The T23E3, this is one of the older Clan Wars reward, I believe, or tournament reward, one of which. The Type 62, that too, but it was given out for mission-based reward last September, was it? Hot September, I remember, because I grind like hell for it. The Rivalries, the M48A2, the T54E2 slash T123E6. This is upcoming Clan Wars medium tank for the Americans at tier 10. It's a Patton's hull armor with a T54E2's turret and the T123E6 120mm gun. That's on the T95E6. So 3 parts of 3 different tanks got meshed together. The Kananang Jagdpanzer, already showed you guys pictures last patch, so won't be showing it again. The T28E with the F30 85mm gun, the mouse chin, the FE201 A45, also covered this last patch, so none of that, and the IS3 with the automatic loader. So it's not autoloader, it's now called automatic loader, whatever. Ugh. So here are more juicy bits. 18 tanks that had bugs with the collision model got fixed. Here are the buffs. So the M6A2E1, the Mutant, the M46 Patton, and the Conqueror got armor changed with the HD model release. So I'll cover that. The STA1 got 20% buff to the dispersion on the turret traverse. The STA2 got some terrain resistance buff. That's good. 30% increase to the turret traverse dispersion. And minus 0.1 seconds to the aim time. And 2.1 seconds now. So that's good. The Type 62 got buffed to the terrain resistance as well. 12.5% to the turret slash hull traverse dispersion. And minus 0.2 seconds to the reload at 5.5 seconds for the, I think it was 85mm gun. So that's the one of the choices for the WZ131. So it is basically a copy of that tank. The T44-122. So this is a super tester tank. So it's special. It gets 8.3% buff to the turret / hull traverse dispersion, and one more degree of gun depression to 4 now, -4 degrees. So that's good. The Churchill Mark 7 gets 7 more degrees of gun depression for the 3.7-inch howitzer, because originally it has only 3 degrees of gun depression. Now it has 10, so major buff. Nobody used a derp gun on the Churchill. That's just disgusting. Ugh. And the M46 patent got buffed by the DPM, so that's good. Reload time got buffed. Rate of fire got buffed. Accuracy got buffed a little bit. That's very good. Aim time got buffed. So this is not the same buff that's for the recent 9.x penetration nerf. So I don't know how the penetration nerf will tie into everything, because it's mentioned for 9.x. It's not mentioned for the 9.9 patch. So the penetration nerf is undecided, coming soon or later, but 9.9 is coming, so this is the actual buff to the patent, whereas the other ones are just weird, somewhere in the ether of what's going to be happening, so nobody knows, whatever. So here is the Conqueror with the HD model update. So as you can see, the middle strip bar of well armor of 203 millimeters were removed. So that sucks, but it's not that big of a factor. However, the turret got buffed. So as you can see, it has more areas of harder armor on the turret. So it's not as easily penetrated as before. So yeah, it suits better into the competition against the M103 doppelganger. So that's good. Here is the Mutant, the M6A2E1. So here is the old model with the driver hatch, so as you can see. And here is the HD model. So you can see that this model is actually a little bit different, because there's no driver hatch for the front left of the hull. It's just a smooth plate, whereas beforehand you have the driver hatch and a crevice with the lower plate and the upper plate. So this weird little big American lower glacis is always prevalent on the Shermans or something, or rather, or the Wolverines, but this got removed because the production model got smoothed out with the upper frontal plate into a straight slope armor. So this is actually the production model for the M6A2E1, but it did not get produced, so this is the production standard. So armor wise, yeah, it's mostly the same armor, but yeah, here's the armor change. So as you can see, here is the 9.8 version. Here is the crevice. It has the driver hatch right here. And with the update, it becomes straight. So I guess it's a buff. I mean, the driver hatch is not a weak spot, so it's more like a prettier version, I guess. So less mutantly, I guess. Well, whatever. So the armor did not get changed, but it's still 100 or 191 millimeters at the front, so it will go up to like 280 millimeters effective. So that's still pretty goddamn good. So it's less like crevice looking, I guess. So that's a buff, I guess. Here is the update to the M46 patent. So the standard SD single def is on top, and the HD is on bottom. So you can see more details with the armor rainbow. So it did not get that much buff, because the 140 millimeter buff for the turret ring, and that's the only thing for it. So there's a buff to the different spacing of the armor, but it did not get a particularly big buff. So you can see that the 140 millimeter is for the turret ring, as well as this hatch over here, or this is. I think it's a viewport, but yeah, it's not that big of a buff. So here are all the map changes, technical updates, and bug fixes. So Swamp and Highway were reworked in order to support active gameplay in the map center. I will cover this, but that's great because these two maps are pretty much crap. It's so campy. You just camp around the edges of these two maps and just disgusting. reworked some of the destruction effects for some environmental objects like trees or fences, other stuff. The big world engine was significantly optimized. The old render water and lighting quality was significantly improved. Added TXAA anti-aliasing, so that's good. Improved the lighting, that's good. Reworked the shadow, blah blah blah. Added the grass shadows for those with better computers, so that's good. Blah blah blah. Optimize and improve post effects like blooms, god rays, lens flares. So awesome looking as ever, but my computer cannot handle it. Improve the quality and performance of the, I don't know what this is, but it's improvement, so that's good. Sam, you're so terrible at computers. Fix some of the freezes and crashes of the game client. Fix a bug where underneath certain circumstances, guns with high penetration could not penetrate thin armor behind space armor. That's an interesting one. Fix a rare bug where a ricochet shell under certain circumstances could end up inside the tank and damage the modules or crew. That's a new one. And fix a large number of bugs with issues in team battle. So bug fixing. Ugh. So here is the map changes. So here is swamp. Everybody knows it's terrible because everybody just camped right here, right here, and right here, and right here. So camping map. So they changed it. They removed the housing right here. They increased the size of these mountains or hills, if you call them. Added a little town right here and decreased the size of this town. So they moved the base from these two corners of the map to these two corners. So now is the update. So as you can see, the bases are now different. So less camping, hopefully. They added more cover to right here and more hills right here. So it's more linear now and less campy, hopefully. So I have videos of the changes, so I'll show you in a second. Here is highway. So they removed the housing right here. They removed the river. They decreased the size of the hill. So no more bridge. They increased a few other spots, but here is the update. So it's more flat. It has a building, a strip of town in the middle now. So, all right. So here is the video. So it explains a little bit better than what I can do with just pictures. And here are all the updates to the highway and swamp maps. Now I have to do a video inception because it's a weird file and it gets corrupted with Windows Media Player or something or other. So yeah, it's a video inception, I guess. I'm recording a video of the video. So as you can see, the center town got added instead of the river for this map. So it was a river in the middle. Now they remove all the river, remove the hills. So it's more of a flat map now with more cover for light tanks and mediums. And they added hills to help with the base capture. So it's more of a open map now. Well, it still is an open map, but yeah, it still can be traversed to for lights and mediums easily. So no more camping at your base and waiting for the opposite team to capture the hill right here or capture the town. So it's more balanced now. This map is not one of my favorites, but yeah, it does need an overhaul. So the town has not changed. I don't think it has been changed, but it's mostly the same. So the middle of the map got changed because the river got removed and everybody was camping at bases. So no more river and more flatter grounds for mediums and lights. So that's always a plus. Tank destroyers got the short end of that stick because there's no bushes. So yeah, where the hell and go? There's no place you're gonna hide. So you can hide in the middle of the hill? Maybe. But yeah, no more camping at the A1 spot. So this hill got removed. They added some crevice for the hull down medium tanks and heavy tanks, but the whole hill got removed. So less camping, I guess. Alright, that's pretty simple. And here is the swamp update. So it's a weird file that open with VLC, and it takes a long time for it to process. So the stuff I digged up with Google, I had to dig really hard into Google search, and these files are pretty weird. So here is the swamp update. They removed a lot of the camping spots, like the ridges in the middle. So they removed it. They added more access ports to like different hills. So this hill was originally just a plateau for the southern base. Now they added an access port. They added the capture circle to the middle of the river now. So they removed the capture circle from the bottom left and top right of the map. They added more buildings like this Siegfried Line-esque castle thing to the bottom left. So this might be a heavy tank corner. Yeah, it might be. Huh. They added more buildings, removed the swamp part of the map. Well, the swamp parts of the map got mostly the same treatment, but they removed less of the hills, or whatever they called it, gigantic rocks in the swamp, so less cover. They added the northern base to the middle of the lake. So this map got completely overhauled. They added a port with a lighthouse, so no more of the small hill for the northern base. Oh, nice boat detail, I guess. So less camping. It focused on this map being too campy because a lot of the teams were camping at the F1 line and the F0 line and camping in the middle of hills. So more areas. So this plateau got changed, like the same with the other plateau. So yeah, this map is not one of my favorites. Yeah, it does need to get changed. So it's pretty good for tank destroyers if you can camp at one of these mountains or hills. If you have a bush and camp, that's actually a pretty good spot for tank destroyers, but it's out of your capture circle, so you cannot camp in your capture circle and watch over it. So that's good. But yeah, these are all the map changes. So thank God they changed swamp and highway, because these two maps are not one of my favorites. And Russian File goes bonkers with Windows Media Player. So alright. And finally, here are all the HD renders for the HD remodels that's coming soon. So prepare yourself for the tank porn and just enjoy these Maxim / Playboy-esque centerfolds for the tanks. So if you like these pictures, I put the link to download them in the description of this video, so you can keep these as your desktop wallpaper or something. But the Conqueror looks amazing. It's a lot better than the standard definition sand coloring or cracker-esque coloring. So it's a lot harder to choose between the M103 or the Conqueror, because both tanks looks amazing. They have the same capabilities and the same armor mostly. So the gun is a tighter spread on the Conqueror, but the M103 is a little bit faster, so that's a trade-off. But damn, that looks amazing. Holy crap. It's one of the first British heavy tanks to have a bigger gun, so it's not support heavy. So way better than the Faturian with the 20-pounder gun. Here is the T28 with the F30 KV-1's top gun, the 85mm gun. So it's not as fast as the actual T28 at tier 4, the normal T28, but it gets a better gun, so that's a trade-off. So this thing is huge. It's a rail cart or bus of a tank. It's not as fast, but the gun's more punchy, so that's a trade-off. Now, I don't know if you buy it. I have not made a leak video about it, but it's not coming for the 9.9 patch, so it's just an HD render. But as you can see, is it worth the money? Well, it's alright if you like Russian mediums, but it's not a Russian medium tank. It's more like a Japanese heavy tank at tier 4. So it's big, it has no armor. It's alright in mobility, but the gun's the main promise of this tank. So here is the T23 E3. It's I think it was a Clan Wars / tournament reward beforehand, so not everybody have it. But it has a 76mm gun, I believe. It's not the 90mm gun that's on the T20. So the firepower of this thing is not as good, but it's still very mobile and very good view range with very good camera rating. So you can do passive scouts with this thing, but it looks pretty nice. It's missing the 50 caliber machine gun, the Browning 50 cal. Oh, but still a pretty model for a tank. Here is the Type 62. So that looks very good with a Dushka. Nice. Wait, did it have the Dushka? Yeah, I think it had the Dushka in standard def, but still looks pretty goddamn good. Where's the log? Oh, come on, man. If it's a Russian / Chinese tank, it has a log. There's no log. Oh man, it's supposed to be like right here, underneath the gas canister. Oh man, there's no log. Ugh. Oh well. But it has Dushka, which is good. The turret looks very good. A lot of gas cans and toolboxes. Oh, that looks pretty good. That looks amazing, actually. Holy crap. Now, this tank is basically a stock WZ-131 with the 85mm gun, not the 100, but it makes more credits, so that's a trade-off. Here is the Mutant. It's the M6A2E1. It's a modified version of the M6 heavy tank with the gigantic turret and the same gun, or mostly the same gun, as a T32 or T29, but it's a gigantic bread, a loaf of bread. That's why I call it the M6, but this is a Mutant loaf of bread. It has a 50 caliber stowed on the back of the turret. That looks nice, but yeah, not everybody have it because it's a heavy tank pre-order package, so it's exclusive to that deal. But oh well. Here is the T110E3, the Doom Turtle number 2. So much armor on this thing. The mini turret, the turret on top, has a machine gun port, but is that a machine gun? I think that was a machine gun. But it has a second mantlet for the machine gun mini turret. So that's insane. And this is actually the engine block right here. It's not a toolbox carry thing. It's not a toolbox. It's an engine deck. If you shoot it, it will penetrate the tank and damage the engine. So it's a weird engine deck. But it's a Doom Turtle number 2. And it's so hard to penetrate this thing. Super hard. But the lower glacis is the main weak spot. So as you can see, here is the engine. So if you shoot this tank goes on fire and explode. Here is the Sherman Revalorise. So it's a prototype to the actual Super Sherman. People corrected me on my leak video. So this is actually a French prototype because of the VVSS suspension and the egg shape hull armor. So it's not using the Sherman EZ8's rhombus-like flat hull armor. So it's based on the earlier models of the Sherman, and it carries a bigger gun. So it's like having the Super Sherman's turret on a Sherman tank. So yeah, it's a very big gun. 105mm gun onto a Sherman tank. Yeah, you have to put a lot of stuff like a very big muzzle brake and counterweights to the turret. But it's basically a Sherman tank with a gigantic gun. It has only 5 degrees of gun depression though, so it's Russian in terms of gun depression. But I have a soft spot for Shermans and Tigers. Any tanks that's historically accurate or historically existed, I have a soft spot for. So here is a Churchill Mark 7. It's rated as the worst tier 6 heavy tank because the speed, the armor, and the gun. The gun's not that punchy. The tank is not that fast. The armor is alright, but the turret armor is pretty much crap. And if you shoot through the tracks, you will hit the sponsons for the hull. So they have actually modeled this tank with more armor underneath the hull. So right here is actually armor for the tank. And if you penetrate the tracks, you will damage the hull because the sponsons have no armor underneath. So this tank was rough to play, in my opinion. And there's so many better choices at tier 6. But here is the HD remodel. So the track links on the Churchill 7 actually acted as additional armor for this tank. So other than this tank, only the IS-4 has the track links acting as applicate armor. So here is the M46 pattern. It looks very good. Oh, it doesn't have the 50 caliber machine gun on top. Oh man. But it looks very nice. So this is one of the most high DPM tier 9 tanks in the game. Wow, that track link looks amazing. Oh. So I have a soft spot for American mediums as well as British mediums because hull down and very good DPM. So DPM is nice. The British has more penetration, but American has faster or more accurate rate of fire, and faster, a little bit faster rate of fire. So yeah, very, very good looking. Only lacks a 50 caliber machine gun. Only lacks one. So here is the Type 59. Not everybody has one, and people will kill for one. So that's a shame, but it's a Chinese copy of the Russian T-54. Wow! The commander hatch or cupola has ribbed for your pleasure. I need to take a better look, but it looks like a bottle cap. Is that bolts for the commander hatch? I think it was. Yeah, it's bolts. Holy crap. That's very well detailed. So it's like a bottle cap, but these are actually bolts for the commander hatch. There's a log. It has a dushka. That's nice, but yeah, it has the log. So it's Chinese/Russian. The Type 62 does not have a log. So bummer. But that looks pretty goddamn awesome. And Type 59s are to die for in World of Tanks. So people will actually kill for one because how rare it is. But here is the T-62A. So that looks nice. It turns out that the Russian has a different shade of green in comparison to the Chinese. So you can tell the difference, but it looks more battered. More scars on this tank than the Type 59. There's so many more scratches and dents. So as you can see with the HD model. But there's more scratches and other stuff on this tank. There's a log, so that's good. There's no dushka. Oh well. But it looks more battle damaged than the Type 59. So, that's interesting. But a lot more scars on this thing. Alright. Very nice. So, if you could put more stuff like dushkas, gas canisters. There's no gas canister. Oh. If you could put more stuff onto a tank, it looks prettier. But here is the IS-3 with the autoloader. It has... Where's the log? Oh man, come on. The Russian tank does not have logs? Oh man, there's no logs on this thing. Huh. It has a more of a ladle shape turret than the frying pan turret. So it's used for the auto-loading mechanism. So without a loader, you have a step pedal for the ammunition. But there's no dushka, so that sucks. There's no machine gun. There's no logs. There's no canvas on the back of the turret. Oh well. So it's still an IS-3 with just a little bit different of a turret and the classic D25T gun. It's not the upgraded BL9 gun for the IS-3, so that's a bum, but whatever. Here is the Japanese Tiger 1. people did mention that these air filters were used for the African corps, so for the campaign in Africa, to prevent dust and other stuff from getting into the filters and other engine. So yeah, it's a Tiger 1. Now, I think I forgot to mention, but the commander hatch, the commander cupola, looks a lot bigger than it was on the Tiger 1. So it looks more like the Panzer IV's cupola or the Tiger P. So this turret looks different. I mean, it looks like the Tiger P's turret with a bigger commander hatch. So, that's interesting. But I remember that when you're trying to shoot a Tiger, the normal Tiger 1, it does not have the gigantic commander hatch to shoot at. So you have to depend on penetrating the mantlet or hitting the frontal plates. So that's interesting. But alright. It's a pretty tank. So this is actually a screenshot. So you cannot tell the difference between this model and the HD render. So both of them looks pretty goddamn awesome. So alright, here is the IS-5, also known as the Object 730. This is the upcoming Clan Wars reward. So it's basically an IS-8 stock with the D25T modified with more penetration because of the APCR, but still has the 0.44 accuracy, so still pretty much crap. But you do have the log, so the log, the dushka, the gas canister, the canvas on the back of the turret. This is Russian. This is classic Russian tank. Wow, the commander hatch looks big. What? This commander hatch looks not Russian. It looks bigger than usual. Huh. That's interesting. This hatch looks a lot different than what I see on Russian tanks, but alright. So, yeah, it's sad to say that that tank has only available for Clan Wars. So lastly, we have the, let's pause this first. So here is the M48A2 slash T54E2 slash T123E6. So this is basically an M48 Patton's hull armor with a T54E2's turret and the 120mm gun that's on the T95E6. So 3 different pieces of 3 American medium tanks are put to one. So this will be an upcoming tier 10 Clan Wars reward. So that sucks, but I have not made a leak video about it. So it's basically a T95E6. If you have a tank inspector installed or downloaded onto your computer and you can look at it. So this is basically that tank for the upcoming Clan Wars, but instead of the hull armor that's on the T95E6, it has an M48's hull armor. So the turret is from the T54E2, so that was planned a long time ago to be at tier 9, but they scrapped it because it's a single shot version of a T54E1. So it's a hybrid of American medium tank. So the turret is very bouncy. More bouncy than the T54E1 because the lack of an auto-loading system. The hull armor is the same as a Patton, and the gun is a 120mm gun, so it's a very big caliber gun in comparison to the 105mm that's on the Patton and other tanks at tier 10 for the mediums. So here is the T54E2. So this is a very old model. As you can see, the turret is taken from this tank and put onto the newer hybrid at tier 10. So this tank has the 105mm gun, then the 120, but this model is very old. It existed like 2 years ago, but this tank was never implemented. So the hybrid tank is the upcoming tank with the same turret. So as you can see, with a bigger gun. So this is basically the T95E6 in the game, implemented into Clan Wars reward. And that's pretty much it, folks, for all the stuff that's likely going to happen for the 9.9 public test server and then onto the 9.9 patch. So, good stuff. It's not as big as the 9.8 patch or the 9.10, but it's mostly bug fixes and map changes with HD models, so that's good. So the 9.10 patch would be the Japanese heavy tank line bridge, and I'm still a little bit busy, but when I get to it, I'll do all the link videos about the Japanese heavy tanks as well as the Czechoslovakian that's coming soon. So good stuff to come. But for now, thank you guys for watching as always. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Twitching even asleep into the depths of Mario. Show the gods await that hero or plea. Of their fates controlled by their head frame of weights if we have a key. It's a fantasy program bestowed onto us by the gods. So now eins, zwei, drei, so we will synchronize. So now eins, zwei, drei, escaping our demise. But if we stay strong, keep our courage, we'll find a way to exist within this survival game. A spiral out of control. No, I don't need your pity. You couldn't begin to unravel this need for life. I wanted to carry out the promise. Like a fool, I truly believed it. Somewhere deep down.